Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. So today's episode is brought to you by me. So I want to say 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was called to record and talk about our inner child, right? It's something that's been popping up for me a lot lately. Honestly, Spirit's been giving it to me for over a year now, saying that I was going to be working with children, but I wasn't surrendering to it because I was like, while I have children and I love children, I do not see myself working with children. But it was one of those things didn't mean directly what I thought that it was, but it was just saying that I'm going to be transitioning more into working with the child within my clients, the child within you. And it makes all the sense in the world. We teach what we most need to learn. And I've had to do a lot of inner child work. I'm still doing it because we're constantly evolving and growing and seeing that certain things that's in our life right now is coming from childhood. So whether you have a fear of rejection or abandonment, or you're a people pleaser, or you are afraid to trust, I mean, there's just so many things. If you haven't listened to that episode, I definitely suggest that you go check it out. However, I am launching a course. It's a 6-week program, and it's Embrace, Nurture, and Heal Your Inner Child. And we're going to rock out for 6 weeks, and I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to guide you all while teaching you how to continue. And we're just going to do the damn thing, right? It's time for us to stop, playing small. When I say playing small, meaning being afraid, of the power that's within us, being afraid to speak up, to speak our truth, whatever that truth is, right? Being afraid to get close to people because we believe that they're going to end up leaving us at some point anyway, right? Or wanting to speak up, but then saying wants to listen to me? And no one's going to want to listen to me, right? So it's a 6-week program. It's called Embrace, Nurture, and Heal Your Inner Child. And you can find all of that information out on my website, www.healaligneglow.com. And we start May 24th. So if it resonates with you and you feel like it's time and you're ready for this transformation, I will love to have you guys. So 3 things that I am grateful for in this moment. So first thing I would say that I'm grateful for are Amber Alerts. So probably I think it was about 5:50 a.m. this morning, my phone goes off. Of course, it startles me and I'm like, what the heck is this noise? And I get my phone and I see that there's 3 kids that, based off of the description, it looks like maybe the dad, took the 3 kids. And, in that moment, I just had to, I'm half asleep, I'm startled, heart's racing. And I just had to send some love and to send some protection, over everyone that's involved. And I'm grateful for these Amber Alerts because it allows this information to get into the hands of all of us in that area, whatever area it is that they're suspecting or whatever. And it allows us all to come together to be able to protect these children, right? So I got it and everybody else. So if somebody was out on the road and they happened to see that vehicle, they're like, oh, wow, I just got this. And they can call it in and we can all just help these children, just together. So I'm super grateful for these Amber Alerts and how they're able to just end up in all of our phones, right? So the second thing that I would say that I am grateful for is music. Music has always been my therapy. And I didn't really realize how I fell, I strayed away from it. The other day, 2 days ago, Teddy Riley and Babyface had a battle on IG. And it was so dope, minus the technical difficulties, but that's life, right? Things pop up. We just go with the flow. But it was so cool because they were playing their best of their hits that they wrote and they produced. But every song that came on, for one, I knew the song. And 2, it took me to a different time period in my life And it was cool to really go down that memory lane. Like some memories were like, wow, I can't believe I got past that. I remember when I was in the middle of that, it was awful. And I didn't think that I would see the light, but like here I am now, like reminiscing about it. And then some made me like a little sad, but it was cool because that was just an invitation for me to just look at that and to no longer feel sad about it, but to just look and say like, wow, okay. That definitely shaped me to who I am today because blah, 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 blah. And then I was able to just send love to it and just continue to just like rock out, right? So music is my therapy. Like, what's your therapy? Like, what's your thing? What's that thing that you do that just, raises that vibration, makes you feel good, and something that you just like, maybe you strayed away from it and it's time to bring that back into it. Maybe it is music as well, right? Maybe it's music as well. So the third thing that I would say that I'm thankful for, grateful for right now is good friendships. Good friendships and good conversations. So like I mentioned before in one of my episodes, like since we've been social distancing, I've been a lot more social and I'm loving the conversations I'm having with people, whether they're, friends or new people, through my own like brunches and other people's brunches and other people's happy hours and just say, hey, we're just getting together just to get together. I love it. Like last night I was on a happy hour with my friend Janine and it was about, I think we started off with like maybe 8 of us or so. But we all just like, we rocked out and we have really, really good conversations and just like connecting with like other people, and then in the same sense, feeling as if I've known them forever. So I'm just really loving just friendships and good conversations. Super, super well. I don't know. Just makes me feel good. So today's episode, I got to chat with my girl, Trasha. So I met Trasha in, I believe it was 2004, and we were working together in a call center, and we were working for the state. We were in Virginia, but working for this. We had a contract with the state of Nevada, and we were working in like provider enrollment and stuff. So we just instantly clicked, like, and I could just sense, I was like, this girl is real. Like, this girl is real. So yeah, we definitely going to be friends for real, and just way outside of this job. So I had posted something on Instagram and it was about like shaking things up or the universe shaking things up. And she commented and was just like, telling people like, like her input and like definitely like, check me out and, talking about me. And then she sent me a message and she was like, speaking of shaking things out. And I was like, here we go. Shaking things up. I was like, here we go. And she said that she had left her husband. And I was like, wow. And I was like, well, good for you. And just by me knowing a little bit of stuff and me knowing the type of person that she is, it wasn't one of those things like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sad. And it was just like, yo, good for you. Like, good for you. You're putting yourself first, right? But there was something that she said in there. And she said, when I started to have to take medication and my hair started to fall out, I knew that it was time for me to go. And that just rang so powerful to me. Because one, it's like having to rely on medication, right? And then two, I know like how she is with her hair, right? Her hair is just like, her hair is not, I'm not going to say it's everything, but it's everything. And she's always just had like beautiful hair. Then she like chopped it off and now it's like super long now. And the fact that her hair was breaking off, so many people have that thing with them, right? So I was like, look, I've had like these past couple clients, been women and they're staying in these relationships that really aren't serving them anymore, but they're afraid. And I was like, so whenever you're ready, I'd love to have you talk about this on the podcast. And she was like, I'm ready now. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay. Right. So, we ended up, scheduling in and then life got in the way that first time. And then it was like, I just woke up one morning. I was like, okay, no bullshit. I have to have her on here. And the scheduling thing was me the first time. So I was like, yeah, let's get on here. Anyhow, the night before in the morning, I laid in the bed and I was like, okay, how am I going to do this conversation? How am I going to allow this conversation to flow? Because of course I don't want it to be like, we're just like, oh my God, this person's, her husband's, is a bad person. And let's just talk about people having to just leave them and all. I was like, it just wasn't really feeling that well. It wasn't feeling good to me to just like only be talking like about that, right? Even though that's what prompted it. And then I just heard, Spirit was like, trust, your friend. I was like, you right. I know my girl. This is going to be good. It's not going to be, it's going to go exactly the way that it's meant to flow. And honestly, guys, this conversation was just perfect. Her transition was just so well. And when it's your journey and your experience and your story, like it does flow, right? And it does flow. So what was I worried about? She was sharing her story and you can't, quote unquote, you can't mess it up, right? But she just got, super honest, with me and we shared and we talked about like her daughter and, and what they battled with the cancer. And that story itself is just so like, oh my God, it's just so amazing. Just the strength and the trust that she relayed. And then also just like the power within like her daughter. And even till now, just updates that she gives me and stuff, I'm tapping into her energy. I'm tapping into her strength. I'm tapping into her fearlessness, right? And I don't know. I guess I could go on and on and on, but there's no need for that because you guys is like, let me hear what's her story, what's going on. So yeah, just let's rock out with me and Trasha. Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul. So happy that you're on here. I'm so excited.
I know, right? I know.
So before we actually get started, because I start mine with this, so now I have to ask you, in this present moment, what are 3 things that you're grateful for?
3 things. I'm grateful for peace of mind. I'm grateful for a flow of income. I'm definitely grateful for the ability to work from home and a flow of income and financial, for now, because I work in corporate America, you never know when, they can say whether you, come or go. But I'm grateful for right now, security. We have a pretty secure place in our company. And the third, I'm thankful for being alive, being in a space of, being in a space of being okay. We're not just alive, but we're well, even in the midst of everything that is going on, we're alive and well. So, those are the 3 things, because you can be alive and not be well at all.
Yeah.
We're alive and well. That's good.
No, for sure. I'm so glad for you to even say that. Because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I'm actually happy I'm alive, for so many reasons. And I'm like, I'm happy to be here, this historical event, to be, alive here. So I remember, I'll get readings and stuff because you and me talk about spirit and stuff. And I remember there were 2 readers. And anytime that I get a reading from a second person and they say the same thing that someone else said, I'm like, okay, you really are tuning into my energy because you guys don't know each other and you're getting the same vibe, which means you are tuned into me. Like, okay, you're legit. And both of them said, they were like, I've been here other past lives, which I already believe that myself. And they're like, everything your soul has gone through was for this incarnation, was to be here for this lifetime.
Yeah.
You've been training, your soul has been training. And it hit me the other day. I said, holy shit, I truly feel that and believe it. And I got so excited.
Yeah.
And now things aren't 100% quote unquote perfect. But I was oh my God, I'm so happy to be alive, to be to witness this, to be able to, I'm about to be 40, but to be able to be alive where this system has rebuilt itself and to actually basically have heaven on earth. And that's what I believe will come about with all of this stuff, is that it will be the heaven on earth. Because some people are like, oh man, I'm ready to just be done and go to heaven because it's going to be so much. But I'm like, no, we can have heaven on earth if we all just take care, of stuff. So yeah, so I'm definitely vibing, because I think before when I would be like, I'm so grateful to be alive. And, you kind of see little surface and I'm like, no, I'm really grateful to be alive. And like you said.
And you can experience, so it sounds like what you're experiencing is it's a euphoria.
Absolutely.
It's a beyond happy. You have joy. That's what that is. It's joy. And joy is a euphoric place because regardless of what's going on, you can't be shaken. I mean, you can see all of these systems falling around you and everything. And again, that's that, if we're tapping, and I believe that we all are connected in life, and people believe whatever they believe, but I believe everything goes to one source, back to one source. There's so many denominations of religions and all of that stuff. Everything goes back to one true source. And there's truth within every religion. Now, I may not believe certain aspects of the religion, but there's truth in each religion because it reaches back to one source. And what you're describing and what I feel is the peace that passes understanding.
Yeah,
so it's a euphoric feeling, like even though everything is going on, and I like to call it different whirlwinds around us. So like different cycles of tornadoes all around us. If you can walk through that at a certain level of peace and joy, that is heaven. That is,
oh my gosh,
you're tapped into it. Yeah, you're tapped into it. Even though those things are going on, you are allowing your higher power or God himself to take over. That is truly, that's euphoric, that's peace. And then he works through and he gives you that peace. I mean, there is a great promise in the Holy Word and it's peace. So that is the euphoric. Oh my God. That is
absolutely
heaven.
You said it so well. Yes, you said it so well. Like, it just gave me like these chills. And my listeners know I always say everything that we need is within us. And some people will be like, even like clients I've had, they're like, well, I don't really understand that. And I'm like, everything that we need is within us. The solutions to our things that we perceive as problems is within us. We just need to tap into it. It's just underneath all the fear, the worry, and the limits and everything else. And this morning I experienced that, where I was like, okay, so they're giving people the stimulus check, right? If you qualify for it. Well, I didn't get it. So I didn't get it, right? So everybody else was like getting, I was like, well, I don't have anything. And I checked to see if you can like check like your status or whatever. And then it says like payment status not eligible. The information that we have, something like doesn't show if you're qualified. And I was like, okay, whatever. That wasn't a financial plan for me anyway. Definitely can't depend on no government or no shit. But I did apply for the small business thing that they were giving. And that was to me, it was a whole bunch of nonsense. But I did put in my application for that as a small business. And I got the thing this morning where I seen that they ran out of money. Oh. Right? They ran out of money. So the program ran out of money within 2 weeks. So I started laughing. And, probably 3 years ago, I'd been like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I didn't get the stimulus. Oh my God. And then they ran out of money before they got to my application. And I started laughing and I kept hearing, everything you need is within you. Get creative. And I got so excited this morning. I was like, hell yes, this is the opportunity for me to create. And this is the opportunity for me to tap into that power that's within me, which is the heaven on earth. Which is that? Like, what can you do? Like, you're not stuck, you're not in that. And I was like, thank you for that reminder, Yeah. And I just got super, super excited. And I was like, hell yeah, what am I going to create? Well, I'm going to tap into the universe and be like, okay, so I'm going to need some assistance on X, Y, and Z. So I need to bring this into fruition. And it's not coming from the government. It's not coming from from the government. It's within me. And how is it that I can bring like this out? And to me, that's a part of that, creating that heaven on earth, is knowing that there's like no limits, and then being able to have the joy and the peace in the middle of chaos. Right. To me, like, I love that. I love all of this. You said it so, so well. So since the conversation kind of started to, the whole, like, just your spiritual, your higher power, can you just talk to the listeners? I just want you to share your story with your baby girl, because that right there is that higher power being dope as shit. Yeah. Nobody can't ever tell me that there's not a higher power at all. Yeah. Point blank, period. And that was showed with like her. So if you don't mind, like, just
not at all. So back in 2016, my daughter, Natalia, she was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's ALL. And this was November 2016. So when she was diagnosed, I was already stretching and participating in yoga classes and, just being mindful. So when it came about, there's something spiritual about sickness. And when you are in that place of unknown, much like we are now, you do tap into spirituality because you completely are tunneled. You instantly go into this tunnel. And in that space, you tap into spirituality. And before the doctor even told me, because this is my child, I already knew. And I'm so in tune with my children. I already knew she was sick. when she, her palms were white. She wasn't eating. She was kind of like passing out every time she would sit down. She just would take little naps. So we knew something was wrong. I took her to her pediatrician and they could barely draw blood from her. He said, I just said, Doc, give me the worst because I function better off worse information. Then I can build myself back up if it's not that. I can't do soft. Don't cushion me because then I'll crash. So I prefer to deal with worse better first.
Yeah.
I can handle it better. So he said, well, it could be acute anemia or leukemia. And I said, well, what do we do? He said, get to the hospital. I've already sent all our information down to the children's hospital. Go there. I'm like, do I go get her bag? And he said, no, just go there first. The hemoglobin, and that is your red blood count. It's supposed to be around 9 or 10. Hers was at 2.3. So her white blood cells were completely consuming her red blood cells. That's why they call it lymphoblasts, because they eat up the red blood cells so quickly. So I got her to the doctor, the children's hospital, and they had her bed already. They had everything already set for her. We got her there. That was November 14th, 2 days after my birthday. So they went in and her oncologist said, and I'll never forget it, she says, I believe, and she and I are very spiritually in tune. She said, I believe that it is acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. And I've seen this before, and we will get her back. That is the most standard pediatric leukemia, and I already know how to treat it. I already have a plan for her. And with that, to me, that was already God having his hand. God was literally speaking through the doctor and said, don't worry, I already have a plan.
Oh my God, I just got chills again. I love it. I love it.
And so I walked to, they went in and they did a bone marrow biopsy on the 16th. And then that's when they came back and confirmed that it was cancer. But before she said it to me, she came in, and at this time, my husband, he was at the cafe getting food. And she said to me, and she says, I think we should wait because, I'd rather, talk to you both together. And I just looked at her and we just locked eyes. And I said, Doc, I said, no, go ahead and tell me so that I can be what I need to be for him. Let me know. And then let me get the blow first so that we're not both blown and crashing together.
Yeah.
Tell me first, because I don't know how he will handle it. And that's me caring for other people, compassion for other people, so that I can be whatever, so that I can wrap him up and be whatever he needs me to be.
Yeah.
And so when she told me, I already knew. And we locked eyes and she said, well, it is leukemia. And I said, well, give me a moment. And then I went to the window, and I'm telling you, I looked out the window and I watched the clouds for a minute. And I watched the trees blow, and I had a couple of tears fall down my face. And I said, God, all right, it's all you. Because typically I try to go in and I try to fix everything, but this was something completely out of my realm. I can't fix that. And in that instant, because it was something that I can't fix, and this is my baby, I knew that I had to maintain a certain level of mental health. So I had to release it right then. Because if I didn't release that desire to want to fix it, I would have killed myself trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's not my place. So I had to align myself appropriately, knowing my place. And that was I had to immediately humble myself and surrender. I'm talking about, I let it go so quick because I already know that when I take control of some stuff, I mess it up. That's just what we do.
we mess stuff up. Absolutely.
And we make it worse. And then we go back, and it takes years sometimes to recover from what we've messed up.
Yeah.
So, I got that information and I immediately let it go. And I said, Doc, you know what? I'm surrendering to this process. And whatever I need to do, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so from there, she said, well, here's the plan. This is what I'm going to do. Natia received chemotherapy that next day, and she had a fever for 2 weeks that we couldn't break. And that very first dose of chemotherapy, her fever was broken. And literally the rest is history. She had 18 spinal taps. She had 22 that's 22 procedures altogether. She had 2 bone marrow biopsies. She had 2 port surgeries. 18 spinal taps, rounds of chemo, rounds of antibiotics, rounds of she had so much stuff. So it was 2 years and 3 months of chemotherapy. And when I tell you that the process, so nobody wants to hear that their child has cancer, right? Nobody. Mm-hmm. But what I can tell you is that was the most beautiful experience of, if we want to call it illness, that was the most beautiful experience of illness I've ever encountered. Mm. Because we were so aligned in the spirit and with nature and the universe, she did not experience any of the side effects that they said she could potentially experience. Everything went beautifully. She was in remission in the first 28 days of treatment. Which I was so like when you hear like stories and just to be like, that's just a higher power. It's nothing else. Nothing else. I used to get so excited when you would send me the pictures of her. And I think I even told you before, like she would give me strength because you would send me these pictures of her smiling and like when she was like going through like with the hair. And I'm like, I don't have shit to complain about. I got to tap into my inner strength because look at this little girl who is so full of life and cancer. Like, what the hell? Like, I was like, oh no. I think I think section. I was like, that's like my hero. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. So I was feeding off of that. And I was also feeding off of you just as a mother, you know, as a mom, and just that level of that calmness of just knowing that, because you could have been a hot freaking mess and like they were off of your fear, right? Yeah. And I just even remember when like you had said, I was like, I gotta go there. I gotta go down there. So you know, to go down there and even just being with you in that presence was like, okay. So I guess I don't have to stress. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to stress because I'm like, all right, she's taking the lead right here. So it gives you, even as the outside person, because it's not your child, where of course your mind automatically goes to the point of like, if that was my kid, oh my gosh. So you get even more, you know, sad and stressed and stuff because it's like, I'm a mom and she's a mom and she's going through that. But I'm like, homegirl took the lead. Like, you know, I remember coming back and telling because my aunt would always text me and all right. Okay, guys. So whatever, somebody doesn't want us to be great. Right. So we had a little difficulty. So I was just really just sharing like how even with my aunt was like she was always texting me and just checking on you guys. And I would forward those pictures to her. And she was just like, would talk about like how brave like she is. And it's just like the power behind that, right? There's the power behind like as a child going through something like that and still being able to smile, like that we can pull that strength. And I know she was also taking your lead, right? And with you surrendering, I just think that's just so beautiful. So definitely wanted you to share that story and like that experience with my listeners, because it does go back to connecting to whatever your higher power is. Like if it's God, the universe, your higher self, like whatever you want to relate to, just know that there is a higher power that if you give it and let it go and surrender, like things always work out for your highest good. And that right there alone was, and especially when you sent me the pictures of her hair.
I know. Like, I actually took it harder than she did. And, it's something else to be said about surrendering to your higher power. I'll talk about her hair in a second. But, when we talk about surrendering to your higher power, we first have to understand we are in control of very little in this universe.
Absolutely.
So, a lot of people have a problem with surrender and losing that control. Well, we don't have control over much anyway, other than, the few decisions that we make. And even in those decisions, we don't control the outcomes. So we have to, we have to be mindful to not hold on so tight to things that we can't control, because your world will come crashing down if you do feel like you are in control. That is just not the truth. So we have to understand.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And your fall will be much harder because, it is even in the Bible, and I'm not sure about the word in other books, but control is very, very much linked to pride, and pride does come before every fall. So we have to be mindful of thinking that we are
God-like. Now, we are formed and created in God's image, but we are not God. And we have to keep that in mind. We are not in control. So, with that and with Natalia, because that thought flows through me that I had to release, I've not raised her in a fashion to let things like hair control her, image control her. So when her hair came out, I took it harder. I've been on the earth longer than she. And when she saw it, I had just came back from a trip and I was going through her hair and I noticed that it was starting to harden. Her hair is very soft. So it was starting to harden. And that let me know that was dead. It's dead hair. It has no life in it anymore. And so it started to come out and I just broke down crying. But then I asked her, I said, well, do you want to see it? Your hair is starting to come out. And she says, no, I'm okay. So I wrapped it up in a scarf. Well, then the next day, more was coming out. And I said, Natalia, I said, can I go ahead and cut the hair that, is coming out? Can I go ahead and cut it? Because I don't want it to be coming out in clumps. And she says, yeah, you can go ahead and cut it off. and then I asked her, I said, well, do you want to see it? She says, yeah, okay. And so I took her to the bathroom and I take her scarf off and she looks at it and she busts out laughing. She says, oh my God, what in the world? And she just laughs. And then so I asked her, I said, do you mind if Daddy does the clippers and takes the rest of it off? And when I tell you, she was so excited to look like her dad because he has a shaved head. She was so excited to look like her dad. She says, well, that means me and Daddy can be twins. I said, this is true. And so we set it up to where it was like she was getting her hair cut in a barbershop. And she had her book. She was on the stool. I have a picture, I'll send it to you. So she was getting it cut. He took his clippers out and he started going over her head. And when I tell you, she had her book, she was reading her book. She had the biggest smile on because she was so excited. And then, oh my gosh, they played it like it was barbershop and he told her that she owed him money and they went back and forth about she wasn't paying him a dime. Oh, it was so cute. But,
I think that's so important, right? And this is not to judge anybody, right? Because we all have stuff that we value so much. And one of the things that I keep screaming to people is like the situation we're in right now in this present moment is like we're all being forced to, to go within, whether you choose to or not. You don't have to. You can resist it. We have free will. But we really are being forced to look at what really is important in your life. Do you know how many times I've seen people are posting about like their hair and that they can't get to the salon? And even before this, I posted something to my hairstylist that's back in Virginia. I'm like, yo, Ashley, like, what's up? I need to get there to come see you, get my hair done. Right. And we look at those things as being, super important. And here it is like this child, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this child her hair is falling out. Mom's taking it a lot harder. And she's super excited and thinking she's like, oh, I'm a mess. Like, haha, and that goes to show that we are taught those things as children. Right. That's what's important and what's the beauty is the outside and stuff. Because so she's still a child, so she's closer to source because she hasn't been tainted. She hasn't been tainted at all. Then we get to be this adult and now we're like, holy shit, what do you mean I can't get my hair done? This is like freaking crazy. But we still have the option when these things are to get our hair done. But you have people who are battling these, illnesses they're losing that. And we put so much value into. So I just think that's just so beautiful. When you would send me the picture, like with her, just to have that big smile, her hair is like shaving. She don't care.
Yeah, she doesn't.
And she didn't care. And I was like, that is so beautiful. It's freeing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so, the whole process of, and I knew when her doctor said, this is unlike any other cancer. When she told me that, I believed it. I had no choice. It was unknown. It was foreign to me. And I always tell people when I tell this story, you have two options. You could either wallow in pity or you can choose to see the beauty and the glory in it and understand that you don't have control. The only thing I controlled was the treatment regimen they gave me. And I followed exactly what they told me to do. And that was my part. And I trusted that God had his hand on every single individual that, came in contact with her. And he absolutely did. I mean, when you're talking about trusting the process and going through different whirlwinds, walking through the storm and peace that passes understanding, look at the time frame she was diagnosed. She was diagnosed in November. And by that time, if you're looking at health insurance and stuff like that, healthcare, because to pay for cancer treatments is very, very, very costly. Many people have lost homes and lost jobs, and, so they lose that financial piece that kept them secure. And she was diagnosed at the end of the year. So I had already met all of my financial obligation for my insurances, out of pockets and co-pays. So you're talking about a couple $100,000 in hospital bills for her staying. And my portion was only maybe like $1,000, if that, because I had already met everything. And then check this out. She was diagnosed 2 days before open enrollment ended. So I was able to go in and bump up all of my stuff for the year. And as of right now, I owe nothing. I owe absolutely nothing. Yeah, I owe nothing. Now, I had a boss during this time who, she professed heavily that, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in, she's very spiritual, but, she professes and she says it out loud. I don't believe in God. I believe that, he wouldn't allow things to happen. Well, that is not for me to judge. That is your business. Yeah. And what I do know is that he did say every knee shall bow. So that'll be between you and him. That's not for me to decide. What I do know is he also says that he will use folks as footstools and he will prepare a table in the presence of my enemy. And I'm not saying she's my enemy, but when I tell you that he used her for my good, he used her solely for my good. She went into my insurance benefits and she bumped everything up. We did it, that we bumped everything up. And I got a promotion within this whole thing because I released that control. Yes. When you release and when you trust in the process, let me tell you something about, and, I come from a Christian belief, but I also believe, again, there is truth in all religions because it goes back to one source. He said, if you trust in me, you have promise. You have my word. And I charged him with that. I said, God, you told me that if I give this to you, you will heal and you will make it better and I will have your favor. I charged him with that. I really did because that's his word. We are allowed to charge him at his word because that is his word. He said this is what he would do if you put your all into him. And that's what I did. You promised me that you would take care of this if I release it fully under your control, under your power. I did. During that time, I was going through hardships at work. Now, my daughter is going through chemotherapy, cancer. During that time, I struggled with my son feeling as though he was inadequate and that he was being neglected. During that time, I was dealing with marital issues. During that time, I was helping my parents financially. So I had all of these things and I didn't even tap into my own emotional state. Yeah. I had to neglect myself and I neglected a lot of other things. My only focus really was my daughter. Yeah. And I still walked through all of that and I didn't lose my mind. I was I was walking through about 6 tornadoes at one time. And it would have seemed that my world was crashing around me. But because my faith is stronger than everything that was going on around me, I released everything. I didn't just release her cancer and her sickness, but I put everything in God's hand. Everything. And it would have looked as though I neglected my marriage. I neglected, I put things at the level of urgency. Yeah. I can't focus on something that I can't control in my marriage because my child's life is much more important. Yes, absolutely. I can't focus on my job. I am as secure as they will allow me to be in my job. I know my job. I'm going to do what I need to do, but I will not choose my job over my child's life. And I was covered so much under the blood of Jesus because of I let it go. I let it go. And I stuck in my faith. I kept, and I just believed and knew that everything would work out for my good. And let me tell you something. When my daughter finished her treatment and she rang her bell, that was my release. I felt the weight of everything. Just, like I could feel it as sure as you feel the sun on your shoulders. I could feel it just peeling off my skin. I just felt it. And everything that year, 2019, she rang her bell, 2019. Everything that happened after that, it happened in such a divine order. 2019, my daughter rang her bell. She had gotten her port taken out. I mean, she was so good. She was at the point where she was drawing her own blood at the clinic.
It.
Like she was so good. I have pictures of all I documented everything. So, when we get to a point where, I can send you, I documented, oh my God, it was, when I look back at it, I can't believe that I raised such a child. I mean, and she's
I remember when you sent me, that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't know, like her age, but like, I remember when you let me know that she like rang her bell, I was like, that's the stuff I see on TV. And like, my friend and like her daughter is like, it was so like, wow.
Yeah. So, so in 2019, I proclaimed before it even happened. I said, you know what, God, 2019 is the year that I walk away from all the bondage.
And God, girl, you can give me chills.
and I proclaimed it. And I said, God, I'm going to be faithful under all of this right now. And I'm going to put it in your hands. And I'm going to weather this storm. Because I'm telling you, I was in a Job-like state. You read the book of Job? And you know how much Job went through. And he was still yet faithful. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just sit in it. It's mine. I'm going to sit in it. I can't neglect it. I'm going to just sit in it. And I'm going to do what I can do. And that's it. That's all I did. I did what I could do. I didn't beat myself for what I couldn't. I just did what I could do. And I said, you know what? 2019, though, is when I'm going to walk away from this bondage. My daughter got her poured out. Now, let me tell you, I got written up at work in January of 2019. Now, we were almost done. Now, the same manager that helped me was the same manager that wrote me up because I didn't bow down to her. I don't bow to people. That's just not how I'm set up. So, you do whatever you will, but I don't bow down to people. So I got written up. My daughter was at the very end of the street. She got diagnosed with C. diff. So I was able to go out on FMLA to kind of avoid some of that mess at work. When I got back, I said, I can't focus. I told my new boss, I said, I can't focus on work and being, great there and focus on my daughter. I said, so I'm going to go out. So I went out. I was able to get myself mentally together. I also had to go to the doctor to seek a little bit of help with anxiety. And I'm here to tell all of the listeners, depression is real. Emotional junk is real. Do not try to tackle it on your own because you will lose your mind. Again, like Tisha and I said, we are not in control of anything. And again, pride comes before the fall. Don't be so proud to not go to the doctor. If you need help, get help. So, I had to go and do that. Got back to work, was great. My daughter got her poured out. She rang her bell. That was February of 2019. We were talking about walking out of junk. I got back to work. I beat all the odds at work. Now I'm in a better place than I was then. Let's see. My son and I connected. We reconnected right at the point where he's a senior year. But because I put so much into him, so much goodness into him, he didn't waver either. He graduated on time. He was accepted into college. We did his graduation. It was beautiful. Let's see. He turned 18. This was all 2019. He turned 18. We got him into college. Let me see. 2019. Everything was so beautiful. And I wrote it down. Better at work. Oh, I told you I got a promotion within that whole turmoil, right? Yeah. Got a promotion. Yeah, did all of that. 2019, he graduated. He turned 18. My daughter was well. I mean, her labs look beautiful. I said I was going to release bondage. I was going to break those chains. I was just going to get whatever wasn't meant for me. It was going to go. My 30s were very tumultuous. Got Brian into school. I turned 40. And when I walked into 40, it was such a beautiful walk. I felt the earth move on my behalf when I walked into the 40. And it was
chill, girl.
It was such, I could cry. It was so beautiful. I felt it as soon as I went into November. And I went into it, and let me tell you something. It was a full moon on my birthday. When I tell you that the earth shifted for me, I knew that was it. And mind you, I said I had been in a tumultuous relationship.
Yep.
I moved out.
Hold up, before you go, let's go back. Let's go back real quick because you said it was a full moon, guys.
It was a full
moon. Release.
It was a full moon on my birthday. Yeah, it was a full moon on my birthday. And I remember, because I definitely keep up with your posts and I am very connected with the universe. And the very last thing that I had put on, I had a couple of, milestones, if you will, that I had written down on my whiteboard. And the very last milestone of release was release in my 30s. Because my 30s were so tumultuous and I grew so much and I crashed so much and I ached so much and I endured so much in my 30s. 30s was my year to release. And I gained so much wisdom and I opened my eyes so wide when it was, and I'll never forget my birthday, that November 12th, and it was a full moon. The air was so crisp outside. And I'm an asthmatic, so my lungs don't always function to capacity. But on that day, I was able to breathe so deep. And I exhaled everything back into wherever it needed to be because it didn't belong in me anymore. I gave it up. And when I tell you that was I could feel it. I could feel it. Like literally when that full moon, I knew the full moon was coming. It's like my mojo was just acting all up. Like I could just feel, like seriously, my mojo was like, energy. My mojo was on the move. And when I walked into 40, I've had nothing but peace still. Here it is, April 2020. And when I walked into 40, I declared. That's the thing that we have to declare. Once we release, we have to declare. And that's putting your foot down and saying, I'm not doing that anymore. That means now you move with intention.
Yep.
Because I don't have another 10 years to do that again. Yeah, I can't do another 10 years of what I just did. Yeah, I'm in a whole different place. And, and my daughter's cancer diagnosis was my lesson. It was her glory and it was her. And I asked God, I said, God, why couldn't it be me? Well, it's not that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
That wasn't for me. It was for her, but it was my lesson. So I was able to see how strong I really was.
Absolutely.
I was able to see how strong I really was. And the next thing I needed to tackle, because I got my son to college. My daughter is well. She's not just alive, but she's well. So, at the beginning, when, you asked what I was thankful for, I'm thankful that we are not just alive, but we are well. Because you can be alive and just existing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are alive and well functioning. We are of well mind. We are of well spirit. We are living. So we're not just alive. We are among life. And so we have to tap into, that taps into not just the five senses, but you and I and most of, people that are connected, we're multi-sensory. We are feeling and we're feeling and vibing beyond, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, vibing beyond. So, once I got through that, well, then I had to tackle the next thing because, even in life, we have task lists. So absolutely. Yeah, it's not just with work. You have life task lists. And my next thing was to tackle my marriage.
Yeah.
And I did just that. I'm all for it. But if it's not healthy, then it's just like a cancer, right?
Absolutely. So
I had to treat it like cancer.
And it was interesting because when we were messaging, the thing that gave me the chills was when in our message you said, when my hair started falling out and I had to turn to medicine, I knew it was time to go. That shit right there was like the chills. And I was like, we got to talk about this. Because I was like, we got to talk about this. And it was so funny because I was saying that, a couple of my clients are staying in these relationships that they know. I don't even want to just be like, oh, it's so toxic. They just were no longer serving their highest good. And they were staying in the relationships for fear. One was mainly it's for finances because they feel like they can't do it on their own. And then the second was, well, what about them? How are they going to feel? If I leave them, who's going to do this for them? Who's going to do that for them? So again, putting people before, and they're staying in these relationships. So I had said to you, I said, we got to talk on the podcast about this whenever you're ready. And you're like, oh, I'm ready. And I was like, whoa, wait, okay. And I was like, okay, all right, that's cool. But this morning, actually it was last night and this morning, I was laying in the bed and I said, so how am I going to start this conversation? I don't really do too well with like preparing and stuff. I just like to let things flow. But I was like, okay, so I want to talk to her about, the strength and walking away from this relationship so I can give this to the listeners. And I said, but I don't want to just start it with like, okay, so you left your marriage and this was that. And it just wasn't sitting well with me. And what I heard so clearly was, your friend. Yeah. Your friend and it's gonna flow. And I was like, okay, all right, let it go. Yeah. And I always believe that everything happens for a reason. And when you surrender, things will flow exactly the way that they're meant to. The conversation will go the way that it's meant to go. So I was trying to have a little control, which is super weird for me in that aspect. And Spirit was like, your friend. And it was so much more than just walking away from that, relationship. It was a process. Absolutely. So, okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead now. I just wanted to throw that in. Yeah. So it really was a process. The process, and when you say flow, everything was connected. So it's like each event in my life segued to the next thing. Because again, it was like a task list and I handled everything in the order of urgency. So, my daughter was priority and her health was priority. It was essential that she still be alive. Yeah. And then I dealt with my son. My son, he's older, so he's self-sufficient, self-maintaining. I put everything in him that I knew to put in him. He knows how to survive. And that's what he did. And then I got back connected with him and made sure he graduated. Now, the next thing is my spouse. Well, you're a grown-up. You should be okay. So I don't have to hold your hand through anything. You should be able to do what you need to do. So so I started to tackle that. So then I could focus back in. And once I focused back into what that was, put it to you like this. The eyes that I viewed my marriage in prior to walking through the storm of my daughter's illness were not the same eyes that I had when I came back to focusing on my marriage. Mm-hmm. I had a different view. I had a different level of clarity. I had risen up, but I was able to, rise above it, or not to say that I was above it, but rise beyond it so I could really see what it was. When you're dealing with troublesome issues like right now, we're all shut down. We're all having to sit and deal with ourselves if that's what we're going to do. We get to see the ugliness in it. Yeah. So I was able to see a lot of ugliness in the process of my daughter being sick. And I was able to see things at the core of what they really were. Yeah. And so I had to put on my big girl pants, and the fear was definitely there. But like I told you, God gave me a promotion while I was in it. He equipped me with everything I needed to walk away. And again, that was one of my 2019 resolutions, but I couldn't write that on the board. That was just a desire of my heart. Mm. See, you can't
you can't release everything out there because the devil is out there waiting. He can't read your mind, but he definitely can use your words. So power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yep.
So we have to be mindful of that. So I didn't speak on it. I did speak on it to some friends and, had to get some clarity there. But I was so afraid because of the image that he put up. I was so afraid that he would try to take my daughter. That was the reason.
Yeah.
That was my reason. I was afraid that he would try to take my daughter and try to retaliate. It wasn't the money because I'm blessed to make way more than he does. And God did it that way because I wasn't supposed to be there. So he gave me what I needed to be able to separate myself. So you know how we know that we shouldn't be doing a thing, or we know that we shouldn't. And we second guess ourselves. And then we say, no, maybe. And I think we're good. Maybe I should just do this. Or no. And then we say, then we get to the point of we get to spirituality. Well, God, tell me if this is what I need to be doing, Tell me. So we can go through these levels of trying to convince, right?
Yeah.
I got to the point to where, God, I need for you to show me, I need for you to descend down from heaven on your throne, from off your throne, and tell me that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because I wasn't going to leave knowing that it was of my own. I was so afraid of being convicted for leaving my marriage. And it was Thanksgiving week, and out of his own mouth, my spouse's own mouth, God came flowing through. Because God is the type of God that says, I am showing you everything you need to see for you to move on your own free will. Now, if I have to come down and do it for you, it's going to hurt more. And every single time you don't listen, it's going to hurt more and more and more every time I have to show you. So that, for your listeners, says, when you are hurting, that is it. Don't wait to get hurt anymore. Believe what you see.
Absolutely.
Don't sit in it, because it's going to only hurt more. And then you will have wasted time, and then you will have to recover that much more. So, but it's always fear. It's always fear. So out of his own mouth, he pushed me out. But I am not mad at him, because I know it wasn't him. It was God telling me it's time to go.
What else do you need, right? Let me give it to you direct now.
Let me give it to you right now. And it's not the matter of he's telling you to go. No, I'm telling you through him. And because I know that hurts you more. So since you don't want to go by what I'm telling you, let it come through his mouth.
Yeah.
And I heard it so clear. And I heard it so sure. I was so afraid. But honey, I did an application that night for my own place. And because I was so sure. Now, I still had the fear, but I had to walk afraid.
Yep.
Yeah. I had to literally put one foot in front of the other and be afraid and just be afraid.
Yeah.
So, and again, just like I faced my baby's cancer, I didn't know what was coming down the road, but I just had to do it. And you have to do it with a certain, so, of course you need to care about stuff. You definitely need to care. But when you're making a move as big as leaving a relationship, you just have to almost, I don't give a damn.
Yep, absolutely.
In order to keep moving, in order to keep walking, you have to be like, I don't give a damn. I'm doing this right now. Because a lot of times people talk out of anger. They say stuff out of anger, and they threaten out of anger. You just have to make the move, So I made the move, and I can tell you, that's one of the best moves I've made. Yeah, I have so much. So my body doesn't ache anymore. I sleep so much peacefully. When I went to my hairstylist, like a month after I moved out, I asked her, I said, do you still see my hair breaking off? She said, no, you fixed it.
Look, to my listeners, you hear me talk about it all the time. The external things are a manifestation of what's going on internally. When you not release the things that no longer serve you, and you hold on to those emotions, it starts showing up in the hair falling out. Stomach hurting, high blood pressure,
your skin breaking out. Yeah, skin, everything. Yeah, everything. And you know what? Like you said to your listeners, so I was diagnosed the year that my baby had cancer. I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes and pre-hypertension. because of stress. So I had my physical, let me see, I went to the doctor maybe a month or so ago, and I don't have any of it.
Absolutely. And that listen, guys, when you get that pre-diabetes or hypertension, that's the invitation for you to look at what's going on and fix it. Fix it. You do not have to claim it. You do not have to claim those illnesses or those dis-ease at all. Fix it. It's an invitation for you to look at what's going on with it and release what you need to release. And I love how you said where it was like, God, which is your higher power, right? Talk to you through him and how it hurt. I say it all the time. I say we know what we quote unquote should be doing. And when we don't do that thing, the universe will do it for you. And it's always much more painful, right? Yeah, it's not, and I tell people, it's not God, but the universe is not punishing you. No. They're actually for your highest good. It's for your highest good. And I do want to go back to something that you said, because I talk about this all the time. I talk about, time is such an illusion. So we always want things to happen, on our time or the perfect timing and stuff for us, right? But everything always happens at the perfect time and for our highest good. So I hear some people say, this was the wrong time for this to happen. But look what happened when you found out that she was diagnosed, right? You said it was in November, after you had met everything. What if that would have happened 4 months earlier? Right. So it was the perfect timing for that to happen, because then you would have been faced with a financial crisis on top of a child that's sick and stuff. What the hell? Right. Everything always happens at the perfect timing for your highest good. It's just when we need to just trust and surrender.
Right. And I think too, when we're talking about timing, I think too, we spend so much time, because that's just the society we live in. We spend so much time looking at everybody else's timetable. We can't flow on somebody else's timetable. If we're all uniquely and individually made, then like you said, time is an illusion. Like I tell people all the time, time is so big. If time is infinite, then why are you stressing about this moment? Yeah. You know it's not going to last. If you look from a broader perspective, and if time is infinite, and you're talking about infinite time, like you can't even quantify time, then what you're dealing with is just a moment in time. It's not even big. So if you look at, now while you're in it, it may be a lot, but you can manifest glory even when you're in it. I did. Yeah. It's a release. When you release the things that are trying to damage you and you release it back into the atmosphere, you then, you have an armor. And we call it Christianity, the armor of God. And so when you can walk with that armor on, knowing that in time, we don't know when it's going to be, but we do know that it'll be the perfect timing. And because we're human and because we've all made quote unquote mistakes, which I don't really believe in mistakes. I believe they're lessons, because if it was a mistake, it would not have happened. So
it's an experience. That lesson,
yeah, I don't really believe in mistakes. When people, when younger people or whomever, they get pregnant and they say it's a mistake. No, but the sex is premeditated. So,
Absolutely.
so how is it a mistake?
I like that. It was premeditated.
So yes, sex is a premeditated act. So, but you have to understand that out of sex can come a baby. So how is it a mistake? You meant to have sex, so you meant, so it's,
it is, though.
That's how I look at it. So, if we are mindful and we mean to release, we can manifest such goodness. And we are really in control of what we put in our minds.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. You can't control other people, but you can control. Now, and that's the thing about control. You can't control how things are going to come about, but you can control your response. And that many times controls the situation. If you don't give people what they want, as far as from a negative place, they back down because they don't have any fuel to go off of. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. What are they going to go off of? They'll go and find another person that they can play with. Yep. And so
you control your emotions. You control, or somebody else will control it for you. So you can pick.
You can pick, and you can learn how to compartmentalize emotions as well. I've learned that over the years, and it stems back from, when I was a young girl. I choose, and that is the control in me of myself. I choose what I want to make a priority, and I choose how I want to handle it, and I choose how I'm going to allow it to affect me. And, I've heard a lot of times, you don't care, or you don't put me up as a priority. No, I put you as a priority, but I don't choose to put your behavior as a priority. And if it looks like we're going in a specific realm, well, I'm going to compartmentalize my emotions, and I'm going to just put them over there until you're ready to handle them with care.
Oh my God, girls, this whole thing, I just got all these chills. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what's next?
You know what? What's next is building the blocks to climb out of the mess I created on my own as a coping mechanism when I was going through. So currently I am working on releasing debt. So while I was going through, my daughter's cancer and dealing with struggle in my marriage, I had to find something that made me feel better. And I like to shop.
Yeah.
So I, with this newfound income that I had, I was exposed to more money. And that's also the lesson too. Now, I had received blessing in the midst of all of that mess, but I didn't use it for what I was supposed to be using it for. I was supposed to be leaving, but instead of me leaving, I stayed, and then I acquired more debt, which now I have to work my way out of when I should have been doing what I was supposed to do. So you see, if we don't do what we're supposed to do,
oh, for sure,
we dig ourselves into deeper holes. So while I moved out, so now I am working on focusing on the future. Now I can't control the future, and I try not to plan per se, but I am planning on a future of debt-free living and purchasing a home and having somewhere for my kids, for something to leave for them. It's not necessarily for me. I'm cool being a minimalist. I don't have to function off a lot. It's more so what I can leave my children. Absolutely. So I'm really focusing, I can pretty much live anywhere. And right now where I am, I love my space. It's mine. It's peaceful. I can sit in this and work off, some of this debt, and then also generate revenue. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but whatever I do, I know I'm going to be free doing it.
Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. I haven't. So I'm just at the separation point now. And, I don't believe that there will be reconciliation for the marriage. And, again, I don't know. I really don't know, because people change, God can grow people through the trials. However, based on what I see, I don't feel that there will be a reconciliation. It doesn't serve my purpose that I'm functioning in at this point in my life.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It does not fit. Like it's a square peg trying to force its way into a circle.
Yeah.
And it just no longer fits. It doesn't even have a natural flow. It has there's value. There's value. But that value doesn't fit into where I am positioned right now.
Yeah.
And I don't, go ahead.
No, and I think that's important with you saying that it doesn't fit. And you know what? That's okay. I tell my clients, I tell people, it just means that soul contract that you guys had came to an end. It served.
Yeah.
It served. Now, some people, like you said, you don't know, because we don't know. People change, and you're just going to go off of the present moment. And if that does happen, whether it's you or like the listeners, and that space is there and you get back to it, just means it's a new contract.
That's it.
A new contract. That's it. So it's okay if it comes to an end. It doesn't need to be hard feelings or anything. It just means you met it. You met whatever it was, whatever the lessons and the teaching between each other,
Yeah. And I think, so we all have assignments, right?
Absolutely.
So that assignment is fulfilled. Whatever it was, I believe the assignment was to create my daughter.
Yeah.
And go through what we went through to grow me and blossom me into what I needed. And unfortunately, people take it personally and people say, oh, you used me. I didn't use you. I didn't do that. We all are used by each other for our better good, our greater good.
Absolutely.
But if you look at it from a negative perspective and you don't see the glory in it, then you will feel used. I know for a fact I've been used as a stepping stone for other people to catapult them to where they are. Well, that's great for them. I'm good with where I am.
Yeah.
I look at it as you were able to take something good from me and you were able to grow from that. So, I mean, we all have assignments. We all have a divine destiny. I just felt like I couldn't breathe in this space. I no longer could breathe.
And when you can't breathe, that's when you're like, I'm dying inside. Because breath is our life.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally, and two, so we all function off of oxygen. Plants grow from oxygen. And if we're a part of this universe all connected, my skin, I wasn't growing. I wasn't breathing. I wasn't well. It was a toxic environment. And it was because of his limit of, or his level of thinking. So I was being suffocated because of someone else's level of thinking. I was never meant to be boxed in. Yeah. And if someone is living in a tunnel and they want you to live and be in their tunnel, and if it's not the tunnel that you are meant to be in, you're like one of those iguanas in iguanas, they only grow to their environment. But if you put them out into the world, they become larger. So you stifle their growth. And that's where I was. And I'm not saying that I'm, looking to be a multimillionaire, because there's a bunch of mess that goes with that too. What I'm saying is I function better in freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom. Yeah. And everything, damn
it. and to me, freedom is wealth. Yeah, absolutely. I can always make money, but I need my space to be pure.
Oh my God, girl. I love it. First of all, I always love the conversations with you, because I know they're going to go deep. So, me, I like to go deep.
Me too.
Oh my God. And I pulled so much from just hearing you speak. It's also reminding me, because that's how it is. Spirit will work through people to remind you of certain things and stuff. So I needed this just as much as my listeners, because I'll preach it all day long, but it's always so good to then sit back and receive it. And not always give it, but to receive it. So I thank you for that too.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. And, I'm not mad at him for, what he said, how he said it. No, because I already knew what it was.
Yeah.
I asked for it.
Yep.
And I got it.
Girl, I already told you back then when you were going, I was like, you need to write a book. So what's up with that? Like,
oh my goodness.
I told you need to write a book.
You know what? I need to. And I've been bouncing the idea back and forth, and, it's a trip, because while I have all of this stuff in me, I always say, what could I write about? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What will you write about? It's coming. I can tell you that it's coming. I just have to get my notepad out and get my laptop out and just flow. It really is a flow. And like you said, how would you ask about certain things? And, Spirit spoke to you and say, your friend. I segue greatly into different topics.
And that was honestly, that's what it was. And that's what Spirit was like, your friend. It's going to flow. Don't worry. And I was like, oh, whew, okay, you're right. Yeah. I needed that reminder. I just needed that reminder, because I literally laid in bed last night and this morning, like, I don't want to make it about like, oh, somebody is bad. And, because that's not the case. Yeah. That's not the lessons. Yeah. That's not the experiences. It's deeper than that. And I heard it clear as that, your friend. It will flow. And it was beautiful, because Spirit also knows, to my listeners, what they need to hear to help them. And we'll use, all of us. And I always say that one experience is the greatest teacher, and we teach what we most need to learn. So your book is what you went through. That was what you needed to, the lessons that you needed to have. Now you're going to be able to pour that out to be able to help other people that's going through that now. Whenever they come across your book, or whenever they come across this podcast, because I say all the time, the podcast is timeless. It is timeless. If someone listens to this 3 years from now, it's the perfect time for them. Someone reads your book, say you write your book next year, and somebody doesn't get it until 4 years, it's perfect for them, because it is timeless. And this is how we all evolve and grow together.
Right. And, and the main thing about, when you're dealing with a spouse and when you're, thinking about breaking away, you have to get out of the idea of it's somebody's fault.
Absolutely.
We have to get out of that, because thinking in that manner also keeps us in bondage. When you're focused on what the other person did, you don't grow. You have to get into alignment with time, and timing is everything. And you grow, individuals grow at different rates, different paces. People come from different backgrounds, different, religions, different ways they were raised. And that is okay. We have to understand it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you the best person in the world. We have to watch out for pride. Mm-hmm. It just means that it was not time, or you grew apart, and that is okay. You've fulfilled your assignment. Now it's time to go and move and do something different. So, I'm not upset with him. I've gone through my emotions of being upset and being mad. I'm not upset with anybody. I mean, I don't give that a space. I just don't give it a space. I don't give it a place in me, because I have other things to do.
Amen. Right?
Yeah, I have other things to do. If I was going to sit here all day and think about him, then right?
Absolutely. Oh my God, girl. Yeah. Well, definitely. Oh man. So this is good. Thank you so much. And to my listeners, really, I always tell them, trust your body. Your body will never lie to you. As you're listening to this, and you start to feel that in your stomach, or maybe you feel it in your chest. I always say when we feel it in our chest, that's fear. And when we feel it in our stomach, that's our intuition. So as you're listening, whatever it is that you're hearing and you're feeling it in your body, trust that it's resonating with you. This is spirit talking to you and guiding you through whatever it is that you're going through. So thank you so much, girl.
I definitely appreciate you. Listen, I'm pretty much an open book. So because I feel like there's so many people that we're human, we're living life. A lot of us are going through the same things, different people, different places. We're going through the same things, and we just need to know that we're not alone. And so, I am, whenever you want to, think of some more, me, we can go through, we could talk all day.
I know. That's all I was like, oh my God, we could sit here and be on here forever. And this would be an episode, be like 4 hours. They'd be like, what the what?
Yeah. We could talk all day. I mean, we can talk about everything. You listen, whenever, whatever, I have time. Like we said, you can't quantify time. I have time. I'm flexible whenever you are ready. I can't wait to be able to fly over to actually sit with you and just vibe with you and be in the same space.
I know.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm so ready. Yeah. So,
I know we just need to figure out what we're going to do. You going to come here? I'm going to go there. Let's just pick somewhere else. Let's just not even go to where we live. Let's just go somewhere else.
We can just fly somewhere and meet and just be.
Exactly. So we definitely got to work on that whenever. Whenever they let us out.
Exactly. When they let us out. Yeah. Now I know why the cage bird sings. So it's like...
I said it the other day. I was like, yo, y'all know we in cages, right? We just gotta, it's just a pretty big cage.
Yeah, that's it. This is a cage nonetheless. It's a cage nonetheless. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
yes,
so much.
Well, I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to #certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram @itistisha. And if you want to be a part of the #certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.